Hey, my name is Mary Claire Coleman. I am a special education teacher in Auburn, Alabama. I teach students with more severe needs. So my students are with me a lot of the time. They all receive speech therapy. So I feel like this class in general is just going to be super interesting for me to learn more about that. But also just that it all like relates to what I do, if that makes sense. So I feel like there was a bunch of connections that I got to make while doing this discussion. I feel like the audio perceptions is just such a thing that like we don't even think about. Like even I don't think about it whenever I am talking about my niece who is 3 and doesn't say her R's correctly or doesn't say her L's, things like that. It's something that we don't even think about, I feel like, when they're so young, but then as they grow up, we don't think about how that affects them, especially those who, I know some students grow out of that really fast, and others, it takes years or it may never be fully resolved. So I feel like just as a society, and even just like as teachers, sometimes we don't think about like what that could bring for them in the future. But really what I try to do with my students, I have a few that are nonverbal, who communicate with a device. And so in my classroom, I feel like I mentioned this in my discussion, I don't see much bullying happening because my kids never really leave the room. We're in my room all the time. But I know that even whenever I was growing up in school, I received speech therapy to correct the way that I say my R's. And I remember whenever like another peer or student would ask me to repeat myself, I would feel like, man, like I know I messed up, and it just really beat at my self-esteem. I had to go through it until I was in early elementary school, so like 2nd or 3rd grade. But so I feel like that is, I know how it feels to be like kind of confused, like I don't know why I don't say that way, or I don't know why it doesn't come easy to me to say things correctly, if that makes sense. But with the students that I teach, like I said, I don't have much bullying in my classroom going on, thank goodness, but just with others, just pointing it out, hey, that's just the way they do it. I always bring up how we all do things differently, and things look different for everybody. The way people walk looks different, the way people talk and communicate, the things that people like are different. So I always bring it back to that we're all different, but the number one rule, or value, I guess, in my classroom and really with any student that I encounter in the school, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so I kind of sound like I'm losing my voice, but any student in the school, my number one thing is to be kind, and always bringing it back to that, and that everybody's different and everybody is unique, and no one is better than the other just because they do something different.